For the first time in a century, the next generation is actually becoming less intelligent than the one before it. Not because of genetics or adverse financial circumstances, but because of the screens we handed them and called it education. In January 2026, cognitive neuroscientist Dr. Jared Cooney-Horvath sat before the US Senate and laid out the evidence. What he said should worry every parent, teacher, and policymaker, especially here in Pakistan. For most of the 20th century, every new generation scored higher on IQ tests than the last. Scientists call this the Flynn effect. Roughly 3 IQ points gained every decade thanks to better nutrition, broader education, and more complex societies. However, starting around 2005, that trend has reversed. Countries such as Norway, Denmark, and the US began recording drops in IQ scores. International student assessments such as PISA or TIMSS showed sharp declines in math, reading, and science. The critical finding was that this decline happened between siblings in the same families. We come to realize this has something to do with a changed environment. And what changed more than anything else was the classroom. Dr. Horvath calls it the digital delusion, the widespread belief that putting a screen in front of a child automatically makes learning better. Schools across the West spent over $30 billion on laptops and tablets. The result? Traditional teaching by a competent teacher produces an effect size of 0.42 on learning outcomes. General educational technology, just 0.29. One-to-one laptop programs, a measly 0.16. Astoundingly, reading on screens actually showed negative effects. In other words, the most expensive educational experiment in history made students learn less, not more. The technology was not designed around how the human brain actually learns, but around engagement metrics, the same ones that drive social media addiction. Dr. Horvath identifies 3 biological reasons why screens fail as learning tools. First, attention. The brain cannot multitask and can in fact only switch between tasks. Every time a student checks a notification or drifts to another tab, the brain pays a switching cost, lost time, more errors, and weaker memory formation. Second, empathy. Real learning is relational. When a teacher and student are in sync through matching in focus, rhythm, even breathing, the brain absorbs information far more effectively. No algorithm and no chatbot can replicate that biological connection. Third, memory. Physical books give the brain spatial anchors so that you remember where on the page you read something. Screens, with their endless scrolling, destroy those anchors. Handwriting forces the brain to condense and organize, which is the actual process of learning. So why should this matter to us, you may wonder? Pakistan is aggressively digitizing education by rolling out tablets, promoting edtech startups, and pushing AI literacy usually by fully replicating Western models. But the West is now pulling back. Sweden and other Scandinavian countries have already begun restoring physical textbooks and handwriting after seeing their own test scores collapse. We have an opportunity right now to see the data before we make the same mistakes. If a $30 billion experiment failed in America, why should we replicate it on a smaller budget with even fewer safeguards? Our public schools already struggle with shortage of teachers and crumbling infrastructure. The answer is not to replace the teacher with a tablet, but to invest in the teacher and carefully decide where technology actually helps. Dr. Horvath's message to senators, and by extension the American public, was simple. The purpose of education is to maximize cognitive capacity. Reading, writing by hand, discussion, and play are not outdated methods, but the core biological mechanism through which the human brain learns. Between 2013 and 2023, as schools in the West increased technology use by a whopping 550%, digital literacy among students actually dropped by 22%. More screens produced more distracted, not smarter children. Our children's ability to think clearly depends on the choices we make now.